I've been reading Rachel Maddow's Drift, and part of it deals with the Reagan years and how his views on the military and the role it should play in government began. While still in Hollywood, Reagan was drafted during World War II, but was so nearsighted that flying bombers was out of the question. He ended up working in public relations, doing propaganda films instead. As president, he wanted a military that would show itself to be a powerful force to be reckoned with in the rest of the world, particularly to Soviet Russia. Reagan would invent tales of heroes and make up quotes that were so glamorous that a campaign went underway to sell the armed forces as an adventure, hence, be all you can be. Reagan ran on cutting taxes to welfare programs in order to beef up the military and make it combat ready. When the military budget was bloated while draining other resources, Reagan continued to ask for more military spending while reminding Congress that the American people elected him to focus first on national security. Selling military might and war was Reagan's strong suit, and he was able to get an overwhelming majority of Americans to support his efforts in defeating the Russians, who Reagan said were the #1 military might in the world, and that they were building nuclear bombs and were hell-bent on world domination. Hollywood films also contributed to this mass hysteria about Russian world dominance. Maddow goes on into how the Navy SEALs were ordered to land in secret in Grenada to look for communists, which turned out to be a debacle. Maps were severely outdated. The landing itself was miles offshore, causing the deaths of 2 airmen because weather patterns were not foreseen and the tides took them under when they landed with their parachutes in the water. In addition, there were no contacts in Grenada that could help the military with their tactics. Students attending St. George University were to be evacuated, despite assurances from Grenada officials that they wouldn't be harmed. The students themselves didn't think of themselves as being in danger either. They were evacuated after several botched attempts, unarmed. They weren't in any danger. But Reagan drafted a national security directive to overthrow the socialist regime in Grenada and destabilize their economy. The resistance put up little fight. An American bomb struck a mental hospital, killing 18 patients in their beds. An army command post was mistaken for rebel headquarters, and 17 soldiers were injured and 1 killed. There was international outrage, and Reagan was accused of violating international law. But he was not deterred. Reagan decided to invade Nicaragua after hearing rebels, called Contras, were being trained to overthrow the Marxist government. He wanted to help the rebels, but knowing Congress wouldn't approve after Grenada, he decided to do a covert operation to enlist the help of operatives, including Oliver North, to sell weapons to Iranian moderates who wanted to overthrow the Khomeini's regime, and they wanted to work with the U.S. Also, militants were taken hostages again, and Reagan didn't want to relive the nightmare of the Carter years, so they dealt with a shady character named something like Gore bin Far, and he took the weapons but released no hostages. Again, Reagan wasn't deterred and tried again. Same result. He tried again with the same character, again taking the goods but not delivering. Congress at this time still had no idea what was going on. When they finally did catch on, Reagan's counsel, Ed Meese, argued to Congress that what Reagan didn't violate the law because the Boland Amendment's language was written in such that it didn't apply to the National Security Council. The amendment only applied to the CIA. Meanwhile, Reagan feigned innocence and memory gaps while pointing the fingers at subordinates who were involved and accusing them of violating his trust. This led to the drift in the way our military is used. According to Maddow, executive power overrode the legislative branch. Exactly what the founders of the Constitution feared would happen. It's the executive power that wants to wage war, and Congress became a weak body that henceforth failed and continues to fail to exert its authority against a president who wants to wage war around the world.